How the SuperSonics left Seattle. The Seattle SuperSonics were an NBA franchise located in Seattle, Washington. The SuperSonics were in the Seattle area from 1967 to 2007, and they could be considered above average for most of those seasons and even very good for more than a few of them. The SuperSonics have multiple finals appearances and one NBA championship. Some historic Supersonic players include Downtown Fred Brown, Spencer Haywood, Jack Sikma, Lenny Wilkins, Gary "The Glove" Payton, Shawn Kemp, and Kevin Durant. A history of the Supersonics. After being included in an eight-team expansion to the NBA in 1967, the 12-man roster of the Seattle SuperSonics, led by first-year head coach Al Bianchi, finished the franchise's first NBA season with a 23-59 record. This was the second to worst record in the league, right above fellow expansion team the San Diego Rockets. Among the bad outcomes of the first season, there were three bright spots. Walt Hazzard, a pick from the 1967 expansion draft, was an all-star after averaging 23.9 points per game, and both of the Supersonics college draft picks, Al Tucker and Bob Rule, made the all-rookie team. Like many expansion teams, the Supersonics had a rough set of beginning seasons. Out of the first 7, Seattle only had one season with a winning record. The Supersonics' future began looking up when they got 2 star players in Lenny Wilkins and Spencer Haywood. The winning continued after head coach Bill Russell, an 11-time NBA championship, was hired to help a brief time of struggle. After 2 seasons of making the playoffs under Russell, one losing season was not up to the standard that had been set. This was the reason Russell was fired after that season. The team realized its mistake in firing Russell almost instantly. When the team started the next season with a record of 5-17, short-term coach Bob Hopkins was fired and replaced with past player Lenny Wilkins. This team, led by Wilkins, surpassed every expectation and made it to the NBA Finals, where they lost in 7 games to the Washington Bullets. After making it to the finals, Seattle had put the world on notice. The next season, they had a record of 52-30. Through the playoffs, Seattle made quick work of the Los Angeles Lakers when they beat them in 4 games. Next, they beat the Phoenix Suns in 7 games on the way to their second straight NBA Finals appearance. In the NBA Finals, Seattle had a rematch against last year's winners, the Washington Bullets. The defending champs served notice that they weren't going to let the Supersonics walk off with the trophy, winning Game 1 by a score of 99-97. Seattle quickly gained the upper hand in the series, however, winning Game 2 in Washington, then reeling off 2 straight wins in Seattle, the last being a 114-112 overtime victory that broke the Bullets' back. The coup de grace was the Sonics' 97-93 victory on Friday, June 1st, 1979, a victory that delivered both the team and its city a first-ever NBA championship trophy. After the championship run, the team had regular season success but continually fell short in the playoffs. This above-average playing continued until Captain Fred Brown retired and head coach Lenny Wilkins moved from the coaching position to a spot in the front office. These changes had drastic effects on the team's success. The next season, the team totaled a measly 31 wins under new head coach Bernie Bickerstaff, and only 39 wins the season after that. 2 of the most historic players in Sonic history were Shawn Kemp and Gary Payton, and they were drafted in back-to-back drafts, 1989 and 1990 respectively. These 2 players led the team to years of success in the regular season, but couldn't seem to keep it together in the playoffs. The Sonics of the 90s was a team that was notorious for choking when it mattered. This was at its peak when they became the first team to ever lose a playoff series when it was a 1 seed versus an 8 seed. Despite the history of losing in the playoffs, the Sonics did make the finals once in the 90s. In that season that Seattle put all of the pieces together for a championship season, they just happened to go against the Chicago Bulls and some guy named Michael Jordan, who had amassed a 72-10 record, the best in history at the time. While Seattle put up a fight, winning 2 games of the series, it was to no avail. The Chicago Bulls won the 1996 NBA Finals in 6 games. How they left Seattle. In 2001, the then team owner, Barry Ackerley, decided it was time to sell the team to somebody new. His decision, sell to an investment group led by Starbucks CEO Howard Schultz. This sale was for a reported $200 million. Howard Schultz immediately clashed with how a basketball team is ran. The team icon, Gary Payton, felt Schultz was not giving him the respect that he had earned and deserved. So when he didn't receive this respect, he demanded a trade. Schultz obliged, and a deal was made with the Milwaukee Bucks that sent Gary Payton and Desmond Miles for star shooting guard Ray Allen, some other role players, and a first-round pick. Allen made an immediate impact when paired with teammate Rashard Lewis. While the team focused on winning, Howard Schultz was focused on getting key arena money from the state so it could be renovated. But at the end, no such thing happened. After numerous attempts to get a remodeled arena for the SuperSonics, Howard Schultz determined that it was too much work for a job that he was not good at. He decided it was time to sell, and the person who took up the offer was Clay Bennett, leader of an Oklahoma City business group. This deal signed ownership of the SuperSonics and the Storm, the Sonics' WNBA counterpart, over to Bennett. Bennett picked up where Schultz left off, on getting a revamped stadium. He proposed a completely new stadium where he would need $300 million to help pay the $530 million total. But that proposal never even got considered. After not receiving any help for a new arena, Bennett filed papers to essentially bypass the last 2 years of the lease at Key Arena. A group of Seattle businesswomen purchased the Seattle Storm from Bennett, and they are still in the Seattle area to this day, and even just won a WNBA championship. Bennett offered the city of Seattle $26.5 million if they let them move the team immediately, but the city didn't allow it until Bennett upped his offer to $45 million. In a press conference back in Oklahoma City, Clay Bennett went back on his word that he intended to keep the Sonics in Seattle when he stated, "We made it. Congratulations." After the SuperSonics. When the team moved, they were rebranded as the Oklahoma City Thunder, and they took all of the SuperSonics history, their banners, their retired jersey, their records, and their championship trophy. The team had a solid young core led by 3 eventual MVPs in Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook, and James Harden. This young core even took the Thunder to the finals versus the Miami Heat and LeBron James, where they lost in 5 games. They eventually split up the team, but Clay Bennett still took away the team that had been in Seattle for 41 years, and the wounds left in Seattle's culture still haven't healed to this day.